The Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to you, O Lord. Then Jesus told them a parable about their need to pray always and not to lose heart. He said, "In a certain city there was a judge who neither feared God nor had respect for people. In that city there was a widow who kept coming to him and saying, 'Grant me justice against my accuser.' For a while he refused, but later he said to himself, 'Though I have no fear of God and no respect for anyone, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will grant her justice, so that she will not wear me out by continually coming.' And the Lord said, 'Listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not God grant justice to his chosen ones who cry to him day and night? Will God delay long in helping them? I tell you, God will quickly grant justice to them. And yet when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth?'" The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. Perhaps one of the most relatable memes that I've ever come across. A simple felt letterboard with the message, "Adulthood is saying, but after this week things will slow down a bit, over and over until you die." So maybe it's an exaggeration, if not a little morbid, but maybe you know the feeling. The feeling of being so overwhelmed where it seems like everything is converging at once, and how are you ever going to get it all done? That's where I was this past week, between polishing up a massive 2-month, 16-page newsletter, never again will we combine issues, prepping for a council meeting with a packed agenda that was my own doing, putting the finishing touches on a wedding celebration, maybe not nearly as stressful as planning the whole wedding, but an unrelenting email inbox that just kept piling up with new unread messages faster than I could respond to them. And of course, all of the regular Sunday preparations and what felt like a million other things in between, all of which left precious little time to breathe. And oh, did I mention I'm moving in 11 days and haven't packed a single box yet? It'll happen. Maybe you've been there too, when the demands of life are just too much. For many of us, we've been taught to believe that such moments of being exhausted and worn out or just plain done, are inherently unfaithful. A slump to snap out of, a problem to be fixed, a battle to overcome. Just pray harder, have a little faith, the voices tell us, as if it were really that easy. We certainly don't feel like we have permission to doubt and to question and wrestle. And yet today, we encounter the story of Jacob, who wrestles. I don't know if I'd still be a Christian if this week's Old Testament story, the story of Jacob's epic wrestling match near the river Jabbok, wasn't in the Bible, writes Debbie Thomas. More than any other story in Scripture, Jacob's story has helped me to hang on as a Christian. It has given me permission to bring my whole turbulent self before God. By the end of the story, Jacob, who becomes Israel, the patriarch of the 12 tribes of a great nation, hardly seems to be the pinnacle of faithfulness here by the side of the river. Jacob, whose birth name means heel grabber, once schemed with his mother to steal his older brother's birthright and then fled out of fear of retribution. And now, after many years of estrangement, Jacob is understandably, deathly afraid of what Esau and his army of 400 men coming after him will do. He sends gifts and even his own family ahead of him in an attempt to soften and appease Esau. And that's where we find him at the start of today's bizarre story, alone, afraid, and anxious, when out of nowhere an unnamed assailant appears, who wrestles with him. Now, the identity of Jacob's wrestling partner remains a mystery. Is it God, as we often assume, even though the text never actually says that? Is it one of Esau's men spying on enemy camp? Is it Jacob's conscience, his own inner demons finally catching up with him? Or maybe the obscurity is intentional, inviting us to put ourselves in Jacob's place, we who wrestle with so many things, with grief and loss, uncertainty and fear, doubts and questions, or just feeling overwhelmed. Today, Jacob's story gives us permission to wrestle with our faith, with our vocations, with all that overwhelms and wearies us, with what it means to be the church and to continue to show up, to bear the message of God's love and mercy in a society that is becoming increasingly hostile to the very idea of mercy. Today, Jacob's story reminds us that the people of God know what it means to wrestle. Our very identity as church is the product of a history of wrestling and grappling with what it all means, of asking questions, of pushing back against the status quo, of stirring things up in the pursuit of what is just and right, of always being made new. We are, after all, the church of the Reformation. We are a wrestling people. And at our best, we are a persistent people wrestling against injustice, speaking out, protesting, demanding justice even when it seems to fall on deaf ears, insisting on mercy even when mercy seems in short supply. There on the bank of the Jabbok River, Jacob sat alone, afraid, anxious. He certainly didn't have all the answers. He certainly was not someone who always got it right. That is, after all, how he wound up in this situation. Jacob was alone until he wasn't. Jacob wrestles, and the mysterious stranger with whom he wrestles blesses him because of it. There is a blessing in the wrestling. And notice that blessing doesn't equal perfection, but results in a physical limp, a reminder of Jacob's imperfection, both blessed and bruised, very good and imperfect, saint and sinner. Jacob's wrestling was far from over, but in that blessing, he also knew somehow God was not done with him yet. With Jacob, we are invited and called to wrestle with who we are and where God is calling us. We are invited to wrestle and claim the blessing that is ours in the waters of baptism, and to receive the blessing that God gives for us in this meal of bread and wine. There is a blessing in our wrestling, reminding us that we are not alone, no matter how overwhelming things feel, no matter how insurmountable the present moment may seem. For you who feel overwhelmed, or exhausted, or anxious, or afraid, or just at your wits' ends, you are in good company with our biblical ancestors, with Jacob, with the persistent widow, with countless others. After all, God seems to have a knack for working through wrestling people, and God's blessing refuses to let us go. As a friend and fellow pastor is fond of repeating, there's nothing you can do to make God love you any more, and there's nothing you can do to make God love you any less. No matter how long the to-do list or how heavy the demands of life gets, it is not at the end of the day our doing anything that saves us. That's God's job, and surely God's love will never fail us.